So looking at the viewer's VOD form here, it's a pretty extensive paragraph here. I've kind of skimmed over it already, but coming from Fortnite, Siege was his first shooter. Started out with a 0.18 KD in casual and got better. So definitely good to see improvement there, because 0.18 KD, I'm gonna be honest, is not good at all. Like, that's severely below average. Started ranked in Neon Dawn. Bronze Silver was like his floating rank, and then he's now Gold Silver. So definitely improvement there. That's always a good thing to see, is just overall improvement. Like, a lot of people try to compare themselves to, pro league players, content creators, people that they look up to, and they kind of try to put themselves in their shoes, but it's the baby steps that really count, guys. And when you see an improvement like this, from bronze to silver to gold to silver, and I'm assuming the KD probably followed as well. If you're taking the right steps, fixing your mistakes along the way, like, this is really solid improvement, and consistency with this is going to take you a lot further than, that guy that makes that jump from gold 1 to plat 1 in one season, right? Like, you want to have consistent growth. At least in my opinion, it is better. Okay, so the next thing is aim. That's something that anyone always wants to improve. But this thing here with 4 games, 3 and 7, and then the next 2, like, people always try to break down games, guys. Like, we have to get it inside of our heads that we can't perform the same every single map, every single game. You're going to be playing against different players. Those different players are going to be doing different things in the bomb site, with defense or attack, whether they're executing or defending. Like, there's a lot of factors that goes into the outcome of your performance, right? Like, there's different situations. That's what makes Siege, is because these situations are so unique to one another. So don't beat yourself up if you're not being consistent between games. I struggle with this as well. I could drop 15 kills one game, and then, drop, 2 kills and have 7 deaths, whatever it is. At the end of the day, just focus on trying to perform your best every single round, and then that will carry, throughout the game itself, while you're focusing on those rounds. And then the last little bit here that I think is worth mentioning or going over is operator selection. So this is something I see quite a bit as well, especially with my coaching service, where I have these one-on-one sessions, in Discord calls and stuff, by the way, link to it in the description. What I see is these people trying to give themselves roles in ranked, and this isn't really something that you see too often. I think the reason that most players do this is because they understand that there's like roles in competitive and stuff, and they want to apply that to ranked and stuff. And I get that, you want to feel included in things that interest you, but ranked isn't really the appropriate place or time for something like this to happen. So make sure it's the appropriate place, like a competitive environment, a scrim, game day, whatever it is, where these roles actually do apply, because in ranked, not really that appropriate to apply these roles and things like that. I'll just overcomplicate things. Just play ranked, make sure you're learning from your mistakes and adapting to the enemy.
I got you.
What a weak ass.
Oh, that's fun. I love
Oh,
it.
she's litty. She's
Okay,
litty, bro, but the Thunderbird is gonna spin her up.
I might have to use that Thunderbird.
Cross on big garage.
She's probably gonna have to, yeah.
Interesting use of the EMP here. So what I will say about using EMP with thermite and stuff like that, it's a great use of utility, EMPs and stuff like that, Thatcher of course, but in the right moments. So you saw Bandit early round, and you were under the impression that he could trick the thermite charge potentially. But one thing that you could be looking out for here is if Bandit's even on the wall, right? So just throw a drone in. There's a drone hole directly on the breach here, or the wall rather, that we can utilize. Drone out. Is Bandit close? No, he's not. Okay, now we get to save that EMP for later round, where it could have more of an impact, because EMPs, and the reason Thatcher is banned so much is because he's such an influential operator with very little, he has very little to do to have so much influence for rounds. So when you have an operator like him that has so much impact with such little effort, then you kind of want to use his utility at the right moments, at the right times, just so that way you get the most out of it. So just a little gripe here. make sure you're checking wall. Same thing applies to consulate. You know, there's a drone hole there. Clubhouse as well for CC wall. There's, you know, these portions of some maps where you can utilize that drone hole, figure out if Bandit's actually tricking, and if he's not, then you don't even need to use that EMP for that. It could be used for something much more important.
Bro, if I get hit once, I'm dead, bro.
No, you just don't get hit.
I just don't get hit, dog.
Located a bomb.
Why? How's there two?
I'm gonna be
What? How many people did y'all kill?
Yo, Valkyrie's still
I
upstairs.
got
Watch
Thunderbird.
her.
I shot him.
Okay, so this is a huge mistake that I see a lot of players make, especially with my private coaching sessions. When I do VOD reviews with private clients, is applying sight pressure as an attacker, but then skipping the step of not droning once breach is open. And that's what we're seeing right here. We saw Twitch droning a little bit when breach was initially open, but there's no droning after. You have a drone on person here. Your first drone got shot early round, but you still have a drone on person. I'm sure Thermite probably has a drone. Twitch potentially as well. I mean, she does now have 3 drones. So, like, just make sure that you're doing the basics and the very simple things that set yourself up for success as an attacker in the round. And the very simple thing is just a drone here, right? So make sure you're droning after breach, you're not face checking everything, because that's how you lose rounds like this, especially in a 4v2 with 2 minutes left. This is a huge advantage for you and your team, so make sure you don't throw that away.
Mine.
I got
Valkyrie
hit.
might be me. Dude.
Come on, Netflix. Got this.
Prone peeking here is a kind of an interesting choice. The reason I want to bring that up is because when you're prone, you're, you know, the slowest movement speed that you can be as your operator. So going prone is like a very last resort thing you want to do. You don't usually want to do it as their first resort, because it puts yourself in a poor position. If that Jaeger's half decent and takes advantage of the fact that you are prone and understands how, you know, advantageous that is for him, then, you know, you probably would have died there because he saw you, he peeked initially, and then he re-peeked again, you know, the whole time while you're prone on the floor, and it's very hard for you to move out of an angle like that because you have to go through the animation and then, you know, kind of sprint away versus just being crouched or standing. So, you know, again, going prone is kind of like a last resort thing. Don't usually want to do it as the first thing you do in terms of positioning, just because it puts you in such a bad position.
There's one in there. Like, shot him.
Okay, so you're rotating here, jumping in with confidence off of the fact that it is the 2v4. That's understandable. Good pick there on the blue guy. So now you have the information that Jaeger was last seen con about 20 to 30 seconds ago. So you're actually going off of that previous information.
Wine. On single one. 6 HP. Watch connector.
Which is good.
Connector in blue. I don't really gotta worry about. Oh, he doesn't have rotate. Connector.
Playing a little overly aggressive in my opinion, but it seems like it's just going to work out in your favor.
Yo, if I got the shield game right then, it would have just looked fun.
That was a good round though.
Like, fuck, bro.
Only thing late round that I would change there is maybe take it a little bit slower entering games, just because you don't have any solid information. But other than that, it was a good rotation. You know, funneling through that breach isn't ideal. You know, you don't really want to funnel through an area. So good job there. And kind of reading the situation like that and understanding, hey, apply pressure elsewhere.
Who's trying to clear the library with
Pre-placed drone here. This is, I like seeing this a lot actually. You safely got a drone into the building, hopefully so far. I don't want to jinx you, but safely get a drone into the building. Understand that they are, I believe, above, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a very impactful flank drone. Now, the next step here, that a very common mistake that I see, especially with 5 stacks, is people don't utilize the fact that they have the 5 stack to their advantage, like full potential. A lot of the times I just see 5 individual players queuing together and they're just in a Discord. So it's kind of like solo queue, but a little bit more advanced. And they're capping their potential severely if they just communicated, played as a team. Very simple stuff that takes you an extremely long way, I promise you guys. If you take anything away from this video when it comes to 5 stacking or anything like that, it's this right here. Communicate, do very simple stuff. And what I'm getting at here is if someone dies early, tell them, hey, get on drone 1. You know, clearly, if you look at the bottom left here, this is a little tip for you guys. Calling out drone number as you call to someone to watch a flank drone or whatever it is, a dead person to watch a camera, you know, just in general. So you call out number. It's much easier for that player to recognize, hey, it's drone 3, hey, it's drone 2, hey, it's drone 6, whatever it is. So that way they can swap to it faster and potentially, you know, catch that defender that's on the flank or just get that information sooner in that area. So very important that you call it the number of the flank drone as well. But back to my point of 5 stacking. Make sure you're utilizing this. It's very important, and I promise you guys, it is a extremely beneficial tip to use, and it will have a tremendous positive impact for your overall ranked games.
So there's an Ella mine on that window. And so far,
Okay, here again, we're having the same issue with the EMP, and especially with Ace as well. You don't need to use an EMP, right? Because, you know, if Bandit is on the wall, and he tricks one Ace charge, there's still that other Ace charge going off on that other panel reinforcement, right? So, either way, the wall is getting opened. So, if Thatcher's up, and this just applies in general, it's very rare that Thatcher is up in ranked, but when he is, make sure you're utilizing him to his full potential, right? You know, there's a reason Thatcher's banned so much is because of how much impact he can truly have and how much faster it can make attacking rounds be, and just your overall job easier, right? So when you're playing Thatcher, don't kind of just throw EMPs just because it's the right thing to do. Make sure you're precise with them, and make sure there's a solidified purpose for using an EMP in a certain area.
Wait, do we have library control?
Oh, Ella's right here on the white wall.
Yeah, Ella's top on fireplace, like over by the bushes.
Okay, so this is very common to see with a office take, is a lot of people just go straight to K9, which for the people who don't know, this little balcony here, you know, like where the Ace is walking on and where Thatcher's on rappel is called K9. This whole, you know, balcony here, then like big K9 window here, then office door to his right, a little bit deeper into the balcony. But what a lot of people do when they are attacking this bomb site is they'll just kind of come to this big window, take gunfights, hope for the best, and then jump in. But what I like to see is the fact that, you know, a good portion of the team, 2 people, I believe, are library side, taking control of that, and we actually killed the Ella, who is chimney or top fireplace, which is, you know, this little area through this wall, like top fireplace stairs, you know, and then this is called chimney here, this little stone structure, when someone's on top of that. But either way, great pinch here. I would like to see someone going Ivy window or library hallway window, just so that way you can establish a crossfire here, right? Because if Iona's looking through the library door, top chimney, fireplace, that area, and then someone is also going the Ivy window, the one next to piano that, you know, leads into this very wide hallway here, you know, you can establish that 90-degree crossfire between those 2 players, and it makes that job of the Ella playing that position much harder, and also the chances of killing that Ella go up just because you have more angles exposed to her, and if someone dies, you know, you can probably refrag that fairly fast. Alright, so here we are again. We're doing a really good job of establishing pressure early round as the attacker, so this is something that you can take away just as an overall if you do 5 stack with these guys a whole bunch, is you guys are doing a really good job getting opening picks. Everyone is fairly full HP besides, you know, 3 players, which they're still looking pretty, you know, in terms of HP. But you guys are doing a really good job establishing early round pressure, getting early picks, getting map control, opening the wall, all that good stuff. But you guys are kind of in a lull middle round, which happens with a lot of players actually, where they just kind of, it kind of falls under just hoping for the best, if that makes sense. So using drones as the attacker is very important. Make sure when you are droning, you are also taking the map control, because when you are droning, you know, when you have this much pressure already, you're going to be droning into the bomb site or near the bomb site. So make sure you're inching your way towards the bomb site, not necessarily in, so to speak, but just getting that map control, because every inch, especially this close to the bomb site, is that much more pressure to the defenders, right? So make sure you're making as much progress as you can in terms of map control as the attackers. And, you know, the more pressure you add to the defenders, the more likely they are to make mistakes. And those mistakes could give you free kills, free map control, whatever it is, just, you know, something into your advantage. But yeah, you guys are kind of in a lull once you guys get this early pressure. You guys don't really know what to do, just because you kind of, you know, it's like a dog with a million bones. It just doesn't know what to do, right? It just kind of like freaks out and spazzes out.
He's pushing. He's on your hole. He's hiding behind the blue.
See, like Ace is just jumping into sight here with the diffuser. So good job there reading the positioning. That's an excellent job there. I love to see that. You and Habana were stacked on the double window, so you decided to play office door here. Now, I would open the door, which you are doing. And the reason for you opening the door is because, let's just, you know, use this pen here for an example. If this is the doorway, and, you know, there's like a little sliver here open, or whatever it is on the barricade, that makes it much easier for target acquisition. There we go. Much easier for target It's much easier for the enemy to react to, okay? Instead of, you know, a whole barricade being open, it's just the doorway. You could be standing, crouched prone, like you were before, different positions, but when there's just a specific sliver taken out of the barricade, you know, if someone's going to be at the barricade, they're going to be at the part where it's open so they can see through the barricade, right? This is very common sense. So just makes it easier to react to as a defender, or just in general. So good job opening the barricade there, so that way it doesn't make it easier and make you also more predictable in your positioning and, you know, potentially get you fried. Crouch walking in. Now this is an example where I would like to see you using your EMP. The reason for that is because we have an Legion and an Ella. We don't know what's on that doorway because you just opened it, so that tells you that nobody's walked into that doorway, right? In terms of your teammates who could potentially trigger that Ella mine or that Legion mine. So using the EMP there, just to disable that utility in that general vicinity, and then walking through the doorway would be a better option there.
One piano dead.
Planting.
Now you don't need to cover here. You obviously can see, so this actually got you killed, which is very unfortunate. So player positioning. Something very important to take note of, especially if you are a solo queue player. If you guys, oh my god. If you guys watch my solo queue series, I make this a very large point where, you know, paying attention to where my teammates are, they're kind of like beacons or information, so to speak, so that way I know if, hey, if Jaeger dies in that area, I know not only is that area unsafe right now, but also they could potentially take that map control and it could affect me or get me killed in my area that I'm playing. So just paying attention to where your teammates are positioned. Very important. And that leads me into my point here where as soon as you look at Ace and Iana here, let's see if I can get a good frame or not. So you try to get on the couch, which is understandable. Just trying to, you know, have like decent positioning, you know, off positioning, so to speak, something that's a little bit less predictable, but you really don't need to have that positioning because it is a 4v1. If you just hold angles and hold your domains that you should be owning as the attacker while your teammate plants, is much more important than trying to get into an off position. But if we look here, you know, Ace is planting, Iana is doing fuck all, K9 window there, and then Iana is piano double door. So you know, in terms of this lane, which is piano, you don't need to worry about it until that Iana either leaves or she dies, right? So immediately this should register in your brain, okay, the only lane I need to worry about and the only lane that can apply pressure to me and my team is the office rotate. So you immediately look there and, you know, until the Legion is dead or one of your teammates dies in the lanes that they're controlling behind you, then you start worrying about something else. Does that make sense? And that applies to anything in Siege in terms of lane control, whether you're an attacker or a defender. This is a huge concept, a very simple concept that can go a long way that I've been using since I've been averaging Plat 3 all the way up to when I've play against champs, right? It's a very simple concept, and it can apply in any single rank. So make sure you take that home, put it in the books, and it will apply to literally any situation, any map, whatever it is, when it comes to lane control and trying to understand what domain to control. And that ultimately ended up getting you killed, not only being indecisive on what to hold, but also trying to get into this position here. You kind of sprinted. You know, you should have been holding that window, that rotate the whole time, but, you know, ultimately,
Yeah, I didn't realize
you weren't.
Oh my god, really?
I'm gonna check and go through and see if I can kill someone.
Yo, underagers cannot be talking like that, bro.
Thatcher.
Okay, so, you know, default use of an EMP here. Now, I would like to see you guys be a little bit more cautious about the Velt Cam that was from first round, right? Don't fall under the comfortability of having round advantage and all that stuff. Like, if the enemy is doing something similar that they've done before, then there's no excuse to not already be adapted to that because you've seen it before by the enemy in the same game. So, you know, be on your toes is what I'm saying. Could be a Val came outside right now because that window was open last time.
This is a weird setup.
I'm setting a claymore on window.
No one's trash cans, bandits connector. They don't have a rotate.
Okay, so you're doing the same thing here
Clear besides bandit connector,
with
but I can,
applying pressure.
give me
I love to
something.
see you drone this time.
Yeah, Bandit just did.
This is great understanding of the situation at hand and just, you know, how the round is progressing so far. The first time you went to games window like this, you just jumped in. It was a 4v2. There was about a minute and a half left or a minute or so on the clock. But this time it's a 5v5. You guys got wall open, and there's 2 minutes left on the clock. So you recognize this and you are droning now, which I really love to see. So decision making in terms of just kind of the baby steps of rounds and like just the common sense little things like this, you definitely have so far a pretty decent understanding for a new player. So this is really good to see.
Alright, go on. Alright.
Okay, now we're over droning. So if we look at what is a threat to us when we jump into games. So 2 doorways, right? 1 hatch. So 3 things to worry about. We can check hatch. Hatch is closed because there's no debris on the floor. That's a great way to tell if a hatch is reinforced or open, by the way. Just look for the debris on the floor if you can't, you know, run directly below the hatch. So doorway here, doorway here. Now, the thing that's going to have the most threat to you is going to be this doorway on the left, because not only is it closer to the bomb site, but also there's more positions that the attackers can play, or sorry, the defenders can play in that general area that you have to drone. And then they could just be ratting in or just rotating from, right? So, you know, this, let's just say this is door number 2, right? And this is door number 1 on the left. Door number 2, this is a hallway. So you can check this momentarily. Just drive your drone up, check the hallway, strafe in and out. If there's no one there, then there's no one there. You have a window of opportunity. You take your drone over here, you check over there, and then, you know, if no one's close door here, you can jump in, take the map control, and then continue droning after that. That's kind of how you solo take map control, so to speak.
Alright, sure. Alright, cover me. I'm gonna.
We're ranked here. We're ranked here.
No, I'm silver 4, but I'm getting the gold charm.
Shut up!
Which is all. Alright, Ellis.
Abby's blue. All 3
Ellis top hang.
I can watch your,
Connector.
I can watch your backstairs cam. I can watch your backstairs cam.
That was a case of missed landing there. That's just that's unfortunate.
I can watch your,
That was a good. I don't know if that's a refrag there. No, it's not, because I think you killed Bandit. But again, there's a lot of face checking going on here, man. Like from your whole team, not even just you. Just like utilizing drones. Like it's simple, but true and effective. You have drones for a reason. Use them. Use them. You still have your drone from you know, games double window when you drone that, right? So take advantage of that and drone. I don't know how else to put it. like, there's a lot of face checking. You take a piece of map control, you drone. You take another piece of map control, you drone. You take another, so on and so on, right? And you know, when you get close to the bomb site like this, like, it might be a little bit more iffy, but there's still always the option. And if you can take the option, you should. And then, you know, here, the Aruni death, I mean, it's just, that's just a case of misleaning, to be honest with you. Like, you just lean the wrong, I think you meant to strafe out and then lean left, but it just, you know, came down to being unfortunate there. But yeah, biggest mistake I would say this round is just over-aggression. When you have time and so much map control, like, look how close you guys are. You guys are literally in the bomb site itself, actually. Unfortunately, you don't have diffuser, but you guys were literally in the bomb site with a minute left. Like, you guys have a lot of advantage. You guys aren't even, you know, fully realizing how much of an advantage you guys actually have, right?
Matches?
No. Alright.
That's a really good early pick. So again, you know, same situation that we're having on defense, where from attack is we're getting early picks. We're about a minute into the round. They're currently opening breach, which isn't ideal. You want to stall a little bit more on the wall if Bandit could, but it's not the end of the world. You guys did get an early pick, which is great, setting you guys up for really good round success. Now, the thing is here, and the decision that you kind of want to make is, do I want to return to the bomb site because they're applying so much pressure already, or do I want to keep on the roam because I got an early pick and I want to play late flank or whatever it is? So that's a decision I would like to see you kind of make here, is committing to one or the other. And you can also do vertical as well with Aruni on the bomb site as well, if needed. For plant or whatever it is. Okay, so now, super important that we look at what we're looking at. That doesn't really make sense, but we're still going to look at it. We understand what we're looking at. There we go. That makes a little bit more sense. So we have you and Valk in lobby. Your top fireplace, Valk, is bottom fireplace. Now, if we look at the situation and we only count the people on the bomb site, what do we have, you know? And we don't even know for sure if Jaeger and Thunderbird are on the bomb site, because we don't know where they're at right now. But we have a 4v4 on the board, but we have a 2v4 on the bomb site. That's a huge issue. And this is a big thing that I see a lot of people do, is they just kind of like play off of the bomb site, and it actually results in them losing the round. Some of the time, I've seen it happen, you know, numerous times, but some of the time it could lead to losing the round just because of simple numbers and man advantage on the bomb site. You know, if the attacker is going to be trying to push the bomb site full force, right? So you kind of want to meet that and be that barricade on all fronts as much as you can be. And when you're lacking man advantage or man count on the bomb site, that's an issue, right? Because the numbers just don't, they're not equal. So your teammates are most likely going to get overpowered if the attackers do a half decent job of just refragging because of the numbers game.
How?
No refer I think.
Nah! No way I didn't hit him.
Okay, so now we're at a 1v3, or 1v4 rather, on the bomb site, right? Like, let's look at what's going on here. We have a 1v4 on the bomb site, and you know what I'm saying, and what I've already said that could happen is unfolding in front of our eyes currently. So really, really important that you kind of understand this early on of playing Siege, and you implement this skill set as early as you can, because you can win and lose a lot of rounds because of this. Whether you're attacking and, you know, it's a 4v4 and 2 people are roaming, right? And you know that for sure. That means there's only 2 people on the bomb site. 4v2 on the bomb site, we play refrag. It's a 2v2 at, you know, worst case scenario. But yeah, super important that we understand the skill set and we learn from it. See, now, you know, still at a 1v4. Now you're returning to the bomb site. when they could potentially already be on the bomb site, right? So you want to be in this position and catch this before it even happens. You want to be able to predict this step from the attackers where it could potentially happen. You want to return to the bomb site. So something like this doesn't happen.
Just don't focus on garage. We can tell you when they jump in and you can get them there.
One's coming down blue stairs right now. Rooney.
Oh, Twitch is in.
Blue stairs too.
Yeah.
In garage too.
That was unfortunate miscommunication here. You're trying to flip between blue stairs and wine door. You have 3 dead people. You have a bulletproof cam looking at breach. And then you have blue default cam, right? So just tell your teammate, like 2 teammates, hey, one of you watch breach, one of you watch my blue cam. It's really that simple. Again, this goes back to what I was saying round 1, I believe, where I mentioned not utilizing the full potential of a 5-stack. This is something that could have been fixed in 2 sentences and a little bit of effort, right? Or not even 1 sentence. Just, hey, Valk, watch breach. Jaeger, watch blue. Bandit can, watch and fill whatever other information that might be lacking in an area. And you're golden by that point, right? So this is a very easy fix and should be recognized the next time this kind of situation happens immediately. And it should it should be second nature to ask something like this, especially in a 5-stack, just because you can utilize these 4 other people that are playing with you.
Where?
Twitch has to be fucking low. I headshot her with my
All right. Don't sprint into the unknown. That's what I have to say to this. Don't sprint into areas where you're not fully aware. Unless you have, pretty solid information on where the attackers are going to be, as kind of like a cluster or a group, the majority of the attackers, you can sprint down a couple hallways, through a couple rooms maybe. But when you start getting closer to them, where you think they might be or where they are, start pre-aiming doorways and stuff like that and taking it a little bit slower, especially in a situation like this where you don't need to be, zoom fast, Sonic boy. Because there's close to 2 minutes still left on the clock, and it's a 5v5. And they are also not attacking and pressuring the bomb site all that much. So you got to read the room before you enter it. Does that make sense? Just kind of understand what's going on in the bomb site, what's going on near the bomb site, things like that.
Yes.
It's not even. I don't even think it's him talking, to be honest.
Fucking Hughes.
It's in library. I'll kill him. We good. We Gucci.
I don't see anybody.
All right, so you're getting very hyper focused on the fact that they are coming library side this time. So, they could not. How do I say this? They could as very well be jumping into games or mudroom right now, right? Since they are taking this side of the map, got to be wary of this. We saw it last round as well. We saw Twitch and Zofia down below, in West Main, even though the bomb site's above. So you got to be careful of your surroundings and the potential of what the attackers could do to you in terms of killing you or pushing you out of an area. So be very careful, aware of the situation at hand, and make sure that you're kind of understanding that you don't want to get tunnel visioned on this stuff. You don't want to get overly focused. I'm going to assume that you're trying to go for a nitro cell kill here from below. So just pre-place the nitro cell, right? If they shoot it, they shoot it. It's much better that they shoot the nitro cell than shoot you because you want to play in this position. Does that make sense?
Fireplace.
I think I hear someone balcony.
Oh,
Yeah, so you are going for the nitro cell here. That's Fuse dead. That's a great job. This is what you call something, or this is what you call a one-off, Basically, that means this will only work once against half-decent players who know how to adapt. I'm not saying, you know, it won't work multiple times in the same game against the same people. Those people just simply suck, okay? Like, if something as simple as that is happening to the enemy and they keep allowing it to happen and they're not adapting, they just suck and they don't know what they're doing. But that is what you would consider at higher elo a one-off, just because it should only work once. I'm not saying it will never not work multiple times, but usually it should only work once. So
They're getting bathroom wall again.
whenever it is something like that, that's very easy for the attackers to counter. You don't really want to do it multiple times because that makes you predictable, right? And then you die. Okay, this is a beautiful job here. I really love seeing this. Okay, so what I said last round about you walking into unknown areas, pre-aiming on the roam and stuff like that, you're implementing it this time. So this shows me that you are very aware of the mistakes that you're making. Even though they're simple, it's so great. I would much rather you know, work and fix simple mistakes rather than no mistakes at all, right? This shows me that you're willing to make progression, you're willing to fix things, and you understand, you know, at least on a basic level, hey, I made a mistake doing this thing, so I need to fix it, and that's exactly what you're doing here. So this is really, really good. I'm very happy to see this. I would like to see you take it a little bit slower on the angle checking. You know, potentially listening for audio cues as well is a huge thing that I don't see many people do, and is very beneficial for you. So just, you know, potentially standing outside of a doorway, listening for audio cues, holding an angle while you're listening. Just that way you are ready for the gunfight if someone does possibly swing you.
From library window. Killed that guy. No, not that one, not that one. Don't run out, don't run out, don't run out.
I'm not going
Are
to.
they on any? Are they on solo?
One's library, one library, one library, one library.
Alright, so same situation here. Let's look at this round, right? It's a 4v3. You guys have man advantage on paper, but on the bomb site, it's a 3v3, right? So I want you, you know, and even the people who didn't submit this VOD or who are just watching now, like, pay attention to these things, guys. This bar up here at the top gives you a shit ton of information. A shit ton. Like, an insane amount, you know? Time, man advantage, HP, who's injured, right? So, like, and many other things that you know, aren't coming to my head at this moment. But either way, pay attention to this bar up at the top. It's there for a reason. Utilize it. Okay, so you're trying to go for the flank here.
Get a Kona, get a Kona if you need.
I'm not a big fan of this.
Bandit.
This is what you call kind of like a solo hero play or like a bloodthirsty play.
Nice.
You're pretty much just hunting for kills right now.
In library.
You're not really...
I don't know, but I hear one library.
There's a difference between needing to do something and wanting to do something, and you're wanting to flank because you're wanting to go for kills like you are there. So yeah, this is a habit that a lot of people have. Even me myself, I have this habit. You know, I overswing stuff. I, you know, go for the kills way too much, right? Way too much. And you know, it's something that everyone needs to work on. Especially in lower elo when you're newer, you're not creating these bad habits that are so rooted inside of you, that are so hard to break over the years. Fix them now. You will thank me later when when you don't have these mistakes that you're making, that you've been making for years. Meanwhile, the guy next to you who's been playing just as long as you has these mistakes that are just rooted into him that are so hard for him to break. Break these mistakes now, and, you know, discipline yourself as a player so that way it benefits you in the future.
I would.
For sure, I got my reach hammer. Yeah.
Oh, Zolfia's basement, bro. Snowmobile.
Alright.
Basement? That's
She's right on the main stairs in basement.
that's actually weird.
Nice, who was that?
She's off.
Pre-aim is a little off here. It, like, with the pre-aim, it seems like you're reacting more than pre-aiming, which is something that will ultimately end up losing you gunfights, I promise you. Just because, you know, someone who has better pre-aim is automatically at an advantage. because all they have to do is just click versus you aiming and having to click. So you're adding one step into the equation between who wins this, you know, this 1v1. But yeah, like when we approach this west main door, like let's look at how the pre-aim is here. So here it's decent. It definitely needs to be higher for head level. Here it's way too low. It's like pelvis, you know, hip, thigh area. You know, and here it's extremely low. And then here, this is what I mean by reacting, right? Like, you're trying to pre-aim the staircase, but this guy's already up the staircase, so now you have to react to the fact that he is up the staircase, right? So pre-aim is lackluster. I would like to see you work on this. This is something that's very easy to fix. Just go into T-Hunt. Make sure that you're conscious every single time you T-Hunt. The whole time, you know, pre-aim level. Don't worry about winning the T-Hunt. Don't worry about, you know, whatever it is that might be adding pressure to you. Only worry about pre-aim. This is how, you know, you work on things like this and fix them. Like I spent hundreds of hours just worrying about pre-aim and T-Hunt. And also coming from other games like CSGO where pre-aim is also so important. Like, you just need to take advantage of the fact that it's a one bullet headshot game, and you hit that bullet on the head, like you win the gunfight.
They have a cam, dude. He just threw a nitro. Careful. Can't see it though. Is that it right there? I think I see it.
Okay, so same thing that I said previously about you playing Office Door. Don't get on rappel like that. You know, they're gonna hear you get on rappel. Like off rip, man. They're gonna hear you get on rappel. So just don't do that. Just don't. It's not gonna work. The only way you would want to do that is if the glass is broken, because glass acts as a sound barrier and doesn't allow sound to fully propagate through windows. So that's why you see a lot of players in higher elo, and me, if you watch my stream, link below in the description, come say hi, shoot glass out of windows, is because of the fact that you have the barricade layer and then you also have the glass layer on most windows. And, you know, once this glass layer is removed, sound can propagate and pass through the barricade much more effectively and efficiently, so that way you can hear it better as a defender when someone gets on rappel. So yeah, the window is more than open enough to the point where someone will be able to hear you get on rappel. And I'm very surprised, honestly, that you did not die from what you just did.
I give you a claymore though. You're down. I'm a frag out on these kids.
Shoot, Poppy, Chris, you're gonna be the reason why I survive, okay?
Nice.
Yo, I contested it for you, dude. You're welcome.
I'm going in, boys.
Alright, so here we are again. We're getting this early round pressure around the same time. Maybe we're like 15-30 seconds behind your average so far this game. But we're getting early round pressure. We got wall open super early. We got an early pick. Now it's time to drone. This lull period, this middleman between early and late round, needs to be drone information. Take the map control inch by inch, as I said previously.
Right here on the ball.
It's plant.
Yeah, go for it.
Look
Go
right
for
here
it.
too. He's on the bed.
It's another great job here of getting early picks and stuff.
Yo, push me.
Oh my god, bro. I'm planning on that.
I lit that guy up a little bit, bro. I missed his shot.
You guys need to get the information. You guys are using your lives to get information, not your body. Or drone. What am I saying?
He pushed through the smoke. I shot him a little bit, but I didn't get.
I think I shot from downstairs.
Alright, now this is an instance where you want to use your EMP, right? What if they have a pre-placed nitro below? They have Thunderbird. Also, we have another defender that is unknown at the moment. So they could potentially have two nitros. Use the EMP. Just in case there is that pre-placed nitro, you disable it. Boom. Scot-free on the plant. You can get diffuser down safely and not have to worry about your life getting blown away to smithereens. So that actually was a secondary nitro. That was a Valkyrie, I believe. Could have been a Warden, but both have nitros, so my point still stands. Here we are going and prone again. Huge mistake. I don't want to see you doing this anymore unless it's, you know, a situation where you're stuck in a corner and it's a literally last resort thing, man. Like, last resort thing.
Thunderbird might come to your left door and kill cam someone else.
You'll always be better off standing or crouched.
To your left,
Yeah, you hear her, bro. That's her. Yo, she's
gonna have
like
to
right
get
at the
you.
door, bro. You hear her.
Alright, so now, this is where you want to start fighting. As an attacker, in a post-plant situation, this is where you want to start fighting. Right here, around this point. Because if you stall the attackers, it does not matter if you die at this point. Well, I mean, if you die, like, instantly, it might matter. They might be able to get the diffuser off. Very, very situational. But around this time, you want to start applying pressure. Just so that way, the defenders literally have no choice whether or not they can defuse. Does that make sense? Because if you apply the pressure, you know, stall for an extra 5 seconds, that 5 seconds is, you know, seals the deal, right? The game's over, the round's over, you guys won. They literally don't have enough time to plant. Even though you died, doesn't matter. You won the game. Beautiful. So this is something you want to look out for when you are in a post-plant situation as an attacker and start applying pressure to the defenders so that way they literally don't have the option to defuse.
I'm so bad.
Watch the video.
We should be good. I think you played enough time. Yeah, we're good, bro. GG's, boys.
I gotta get off, but
Alright, so that's the end of the VOD. So as I said previously, a lot of the mistakes that you were making, very simple mistakes to fix. All it takes is a little bit of attention, adjustment, and so on. Another thing that I touched on a little bit at the end there was your pre-aim levels. Definitely need to bring those up, make sure that they're a lot more consistent, and also make sure that what you are peaking is what you are pre-aiming. But other than that, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you guys leave a like on the video if you learned something from it. There's also links to all of my social media as well as my coaching, which is down below in the description. So if you guys are interested in a one-on-one VOD review session like this one here, or a coaching session and VOD review session, there's a whole bunch of tiers and packages on my Patreon. So that way, if you can't afford something, there's cheaper options. Or if you want to spend a little bit more money, there's also options for that. Link to the Patreon down below in the description, where you can find all the info you need and more. And yes, I do coach console players for the people who may be on console. As well as a link to the VOD forum where you can publicly submit VODs that I could potentially review on my channel like this one here. So links to all my stuff down below in the description, guys. Go check it out. I would greatly appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned something new. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.